Hi, my name's Emma Kist. I'm a season ticket holder here at the Aronoff Center for the Arts. So I've been coming to the Aronoff for many years, and I would come to shows in the past without an interpreter. So I would just watch the show and do my best to understand what was going on without the service. And then once we switched our dates to the day that would have the interpreting service, I was able to contact the Aronoff and ask about requesting an interpreter. Asked about when that was offered, and they were very friendly and told me what dates that I would need to come in order for the show to be accessible. Very nice experience. So then the following season, they actually reached out to me. I didn't even have to reach out to anyone at the box office. They asked if I wanted to be a season ticket holder again and come to see the interpreted performances. So I've had a very positive experience on that end, where I've experienced other deaf people who have asked for interpreters or interpret performances, and theaters tend to be quite resistant to providing interpreters. But the ability to just not have to think much about it and to know that it's going to be provided and there's going to be an accommodation made is very comforting, and I've been really satisfied with that experience. I think that if we don't create accessibility for the arts and for things like theater productions, then it's a real limitation. It's critical for, I'm trying to think of how best to say this. It's critical for those who have accessibility needs to feel that connection and to feel included, feel as though this environment is a space in which we are welcome, where we can share the experience together and everyone is an equal participant and an equal patron. I think when a theater listens to the patrons and they hear their voice, they are willing to be receptive to those needs and to those requests. That is what an inclusive environment looks like. And that's when those of us who use accessibility services feel welcomed. So really, listening is the best thing that any kind of arts establishment can do. Hi, my name is Lindsay Nickels. I'm a contract interpreter with Miami Valley Interpreters, and I interpret the theatrical productions at the Aronoff. I've been interpreting for 18 years now. I started out as a chemistry major, actually, and I took ASL as a foreign language credit in college, and my teacher told me that I had a knack for it, and she kept urging me to switch over into the interpreting field major. Every time I would pass her in the hall, "So did you change majors yet?" She would always ask me. So eventually I did, and I loved it. I never looked back. For the theatrical performances that I do, I will usually get a script ahead of time, and we have a preview show. And then I meet with my team person, break it down into characters, like who's on stage at the same time versus who's not, who's the main character versus who's supporting, how many songs there are and who's doing those. And we break it down so that it's kind of even. We pick characters that we can represent well so that when we're giving an interpretation, it's as equitable to what's happening on stage as is possible. And then I listen to the album until we come into the theater so that I'm very familiar with the music. And then we take one last run through the script and make sure that we have it broken down. I think the arts really help us analyze the human spirit. We're able to develop more empathy, more compassion. And I think it teaches us stories about individuals that are different from ourselves. We're able to see their lives through the pieces that are projected on stage and then learn about those experiences along with the other audience members, and we develop a new shared experience. And the ability to make that kind of connection with others is very important, very significant. I feel that the arts are not emphasized enough anymore in education or just in general. And because of that, I feel like people are missing out on how to connect with individuals, how to communicate, how to understand the experience of other individuals, how to make those connections and really develop some kind of empathy and understanding for any kind of experience that's not your own. I think that most art is a type of activism, generally, in some way, anyway. I think it's either because the message that's in the show, that's being conveyed to everyone, or whoever it is that wrote that show is trying to communicate something. Perhaps the director is trying to show something or demonstrate something, whether it be through the writing, through the language that's in the show, through the dancing, through the costumes. I think that everything includes, in creating these productions, they all have some kind of message, right? There are very intentional choices behind what's put on stage. And so oftentimes I believe that art is a type of activism, and being able to access that message and having that experience is critical and significant.